Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a really close look at the press release. It's such a vital tool for getting your message out there. But, the sources we looked at show it's so often misused, sometimes really badly.
Yeah, disastrously even.
Exactly. So our mission today is pretty straightforward. We're going to unpack the specific mistakes, the pitfalls that can actually turn this communication tool against you, damaging your brand's hard-earned reputation.
It's critical because, look, a press release is your direct line. It goes straight to journalists and potentially right to your customers. Get it right, it builds incredible credibility. But a misstep, it's not just that you fail to get coverage. No, it actively hurts how people see you. It erodes trust.
That's the key point, isn't it? The difference between just failing and actually causing harm. So the big question for you listening is, how do you avoid being seen as spam? How do you protect those media relationships you've maybe spent years building? Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
All right, let's start at the very beginning. The content itself, the quality. This basically decides if your release ends up as news or, well, digital trash. It really boils down to honesty and professionalism, doesn't it?
It really does. And what's striking is just how fast that credibility can vanish. Journalists, they get hundreds of these things every single day. They can spot hype, inflated claims, instantly.
So they have a built-in detector for fluff.
Pretty much. If your story isn't clear, isn't honest, isn't obviously relevant to them, it's gone, deleted. The big problem we see is brands trying to make, routine updates sound like these huge revolutionary breakthroughs.
Right, everything's game-changing.
Exactly, and maybe that generates some buzz internally for a moment, but what you're actually doing is training journalists to ignore you later. You cry wolf.
So when you do have real news,
they won't believe you. You've lost that long-term trust for just a tiny bit of short-term, probably misplaced hype.
And that overhyped messaging, that credibility cost you mentioned, it's huge. Using words like world's best, revolutionary, without real proof, it just creates instant skepticism.
Right, and not just about that one sentence. It makes them question everything else in the release. Are these numbers accurate? Is this partnership real?
And it's not just journalists, is it? Potential customers, partners, they research companies online. If they see hype that doesn't match the reality of your product or service,
that creates a really damaging disconnect. Trust erodes there too.
Okay, so beyond the big picture hype, the sources also flag something maybe more subtle but just as damaging. Simple writing errors, typos, grammar mistakes.
Oh, absolutely. These aren't just, minor oofsies. They signal carelessness.
Yeah.
If you can't get a one-page announcement right,
why should they trust your product quality control?
Exactly. It suggests a lack of attention to detail that could easily extend to your core business. Things like inconsistent verb tenses or missing commas that totally change the meaning.
Or misspelling someone's name.
Yeah.
Or a company name.
Huge red flag.
Yeah.
Misspelled names, getting industry terms wrong, even just inconsistent formatting for dates or numbers.
Yeah.
It all screams unprofessional.
And that lack of clarity can actually stop coverage dead in its tracks, right?
Yeah.
Like a misplaced comma in a financial figure.
Definitely. If something's ambiguous, especially with numbers or partnerships, a journalist often won't touch it until they get clarification. And sometimes they just won't bother asking. The moment passes.
Okay, so let's say you've nailed the content. It's clear, honest, error-free. The next big failure point seems to be strategy. Targeting and timing, getting it to the right people at the right moment.
Yeah, this is where a lot of effort gets wasted, the distribution strategy. Even the best press release is useless if it gets lost or annoys the recipient.
Let's talk about targeting first. That scattershot approach.
Yeah.
Just blasting it out to everyone on a huge list.
It's a terrible idea. It basically tells every journalist on that list, I don't know what you cover, and frankly, I don't care enough to find out. I didn't value your time. Ouch. Think about it. Tech reporters don't want restaurant news. Food bloggers aren't covering your new sauce platform. It's just noise to them.
And the consequences are worse than just being ignored, you're saying?
Much worse. Journalists will mark your emails as spam. That hurts your actual email domain reputation, making future emails less likely to get through any inbox filter.
Wow.
And yes, eventually, entire media outlets might just blacklist your brand. Plus, you've wasted budget on sending it to people who were never going to cover it anyway.
That blacklisting, does that happen often? Or is it just for, the really persistent offenders?
It's more common than you might think. Newsrooms are overloaded. Journalists share information. If your company gets a reputation for sending irrelevant junk, they'll block you. It's self-defense for their inbox.
Okay, so targeting is crucial. Then there's timing. That seems just as critical.
Absolutely. Timing can make or break it. That story you mentioned, the client pushing for a release on December 23rd.
Yeah, classic example.
Predictable outcome. Newsrooms were running on skeleton crews. Everyone important was off. The story just vanished. Poof. All that effort wasted because they ignored the calendar.
So what are the big timing no-nos?
Yeah.
Major holidays are obvious. What else?
Well, avoid sending it right when major breaking news is happening, if you can help it. Big political events, natural disasters.
Yeah,
Your news will just get drowned out.
makes sense.
And definitely avoid Friday afternoons. Most news cycles, especially for print, but also digital, are wrapping up. Your release just sits there until Monday morning, and by then...
That's old news.
Exactly. Still, also, always consider the time zone of the journalist you're targeting. Sending something at 5 p.m. your time might be 2 a.m. their time.
Right. So when is the best time? Is there a sweet spot?
Generally, yeah. The consensus points towards Tuesday to Thursday mid-morning, say 9 or 10 a.m. in the target market's time zone. That's usually when editors and reporters are actively planning and looking for stories for the next cycle.
Good to know. Okay, so we've covered the content quality and the strategy of who and when. Now, what about the how? The actual distribution service you use?
Ah, yes, the delivery vehicle. This is another area where you can really shoot yourself in the foot. Choosing a low-quality distribution service, it's risky.
How so? They promise reach, right?
They promise reach, but often it's the wrong kind. These low-tier services often rely on what are basically spam tactics. They use outdated, irrelevant lists, blast emails indiscriminately.
So they're basically doing that scattershot approach for you.
Precisely. And they might place your release on really low reputation websites that get almost no real traffic. It looks like coverage, but it's worthless. Or worse, it associates your brand with junk sites.
Okay, so what are the warning signs? How do you spot these unreliable services?
Big red flags. First, any service that guarantees media coverage or promises your release will go viral. Real PR doesn't work like that. It's about earned media, not guaranteed placements.
Right, guarantees sound fishy.
Second, look for transparency. Where exactly will they send it? If they're vague or talk about sending to thousands of media outlets without specifics, be wary. Are these actual journalists or just info at email addresses?
Good point. What else?
Lack of reporting. A good service provides detailed analytics. Who opened it, click-through rates, verifiable pickups on legitimate news sites. If they just give you a total views number with no breakdown, that's often meaningless.
So you're paying them, potentially, to actively damage your reputation by spamming journalists and placing you on junk sites.
That's the risk, yes. It completely undermines all the work you did on crafting good content and targeting.
Okay, so let's flip that. What should we look for in a reputable distribution channel? What makes them trustworthy?
Quality over quantity. Reputable services have relationships with verified journalists and establish news outlets. They don't just scrape lists. Okay.
They offer robust, targeted distribution. You should be able to select specific industries, geographic regions, journalist beats. Granularity is key.
And the analytics you mentioned.
Critical. Detailed, transparent reporting is non-negotiable. Open rates, click-throughs, which specific outlets picked up the story. This data lets you see what's working and refine your strategy over time. It's like quality control for your messaging supply chain.
That's a good analogy. You need to know where it's going and how it performed.
Exactly. It's about accountability and continuous improvement, just like you track metrics in any other part of your business.
So the takeaway is clear. Don't cheap out on distribution if it means sacrificing quality and transparency. That low cost could have a very high price in terms of reputation.
Precisely. It's an investment, not just an expense.
All right, we've covered the pitfalls. Bad content, poor strategy, choosing the wrong distributors. Let's talk fixes. How do we enhance brand reputation through press releases? What's the positive path forward? Well, the overarching theme, really, is focusing ruthlessly on genuine news value, not just promotion disguised as news.
So it comes back to that core question. Is this actually interesting or important to someone outside my company?
That's the acid test. Ask yourself, honestly, if I didn't work here, would I care about this? If the answer is no, or even maybe, you need to rethink it.
So focus on real achievements, like actual milestones, significant partnerships, maybe interesting data or insights you've uncovered.
Yes. Things that offer tangible value or a fresh perspective to the media and their audience, not just we hired a new manager, unless that manager is, a major industry figure.
Makes sense. And beyond the news value itself, what about how it's presented? You mentioned consistency earlier.
Hugely important. Consistency in your brand voice.
Yeah.
If your press releases sound completely different each time, one super formal, the next really casual, the next full of jargon, it confuses people.
It weakens the brand identity.
Absolutely. Who are you? Define your brand's personality. Is it professional, innovative, approachable, authoritative? And stick to it. Use consistent terminology, phrasing, even formatting.
And that consistency should extend beyond press releases, right? It needs to align with your website, your social media.
Everything. It all needs to tell the same story, project the same reliable identity. Lack of consistency signals internal chaos, or again, carelessness.
Okay, so the payoff for getting all this right, good content, smart strategy, consistent voice, is stronger media relationships.
That's the ultimate prize, really. Reliability and trust. When journalists know you consistently provide accurate, valuable, well-presented information, they start to rely on you.
You become a go-to source.
Exactly. They'll not only be more likely to cover your news, but they might proactively reach out to you for expert comment on other stories in your industry. That kind of earned credibility is invaluable. You build it piece by piece, release by release, through respect and honesty.
So let's try and summarize the key practices here for protecting and even enhancing brand reputation with press releases.
Okay, first, craft clear, genuinely newsworthy content. Cut the hype, focus on substance, proofread meticulously.
Got it. Second,
Target precisely, send it only to journalists and publications where it's truly relevant. Respect their beat and their time.
third,
Choose distribution services wisely. Opt for reputable ones that offer transparency, targeted options, and detailed reporting. Avoid guarantees and junk placements.
okay. Fourth,
Maintain consistency. Ensure your brand voice, tone, and messaging are uniform across all communications, including press releases.
and finally,
Timing. Be strategic. Avoid holidays, Friday afternoons, and major breaking news conflicts. Aim for that Tuesday, Thursday, mid-morning sweet spot in the target time zone.
it really sounds like successful distribution isn't about volume, sending more releases, but about quality, sending better ones.
That's exactly it.
Treating each one as a direct reflection of your brand's professionalism, its values, its attention to detail. Quality over quantity seems to be the mantra.
It has to be, because the trust you build or destroy with each interaction is cumulative.
That actually leads perfectly into a final thought.
Yeah, something to really mull over. We've talked about how even a single spelling error or a bit of obvious hype can immediately make your brand seem unreliable in that moment. A small thing, easily fixed. So what's the compounding effect? What happens to your long-term reputation if you routinely choose the easy path? If you consistently prioritize saving a few bucks or a bit of time over rigorous quality control and thoughtful targeting?
It adds up.
It really does. Credibility isn't just another line item on a budget sheet you can minimize. It's a core asset, maybe the core asset, and it's built or eroded one press release at a time.